Let's go and talk ESG through reporting season, some of the key trends, including what areas are getting most of the attention right now amongst corporate Australia. To do that, Dilan Ashton is standing by to go. Welcome to the other show. What were some of the key trends that we saw throughout reporting season in terms of what the focus was on those ESG principles?
Yeah, thank you. Look, this reporting season, we saw that the focus on ESG, there was quite an uptick. We're seeing that as each reporting season rolls by, that there's more and more of a focus on companies reporting on their ESG performance. This reporting season was no different. We saw that 57% of ASX companies reported on ESG, and some of the key themes were mainly around, firstly, their environmental and social performance. So on the environmental front, we found that companies were stepping away from simply just setting net zero targets, and they were providing more detailed decarbonisation plans, and they were providing updates on their progress towards implementing those plans. Rio Tinto is an example of this, and Rio Tinto really showed that they were quite forthcoming with the fact that they didn't progress as well as they would have liked on their plans. They cited issues with resourcing, and they also cited issues with construction delays, which meant their CapEx spend on their decarbonisation initiatives wasn't as high as expected, and perhaps their emissions reductions weren't as high as expected. There were also mentions of the safeguard mechanism, and a number of companies also citing that that could have a material impact on their business. And then on the social front, we saw a number of companies updating us on the fact that they are experiencing labour pressures and also wage inflation, which is impacting the bottom line. So these issues were stemming from some industries are still seeing the impacts coming out of COVID, and also the fact that, you know, although migration has started to improve, it isn't back to where it was. So this is impacting a number of companies. And then on the governance front, it's not surprising that we saw quite a few mentions on cybersecurity post the Optus and Medibank breaches, and these mentions of cybersecurity were up to almost 50% compared to last reporting season in August.
Were there any areas of disappointment that you saw when it came to looking through ESG lens about what was reported during the season?
Look, in terms of disappointment, I think that, you know, there were some companies, like I said, that perhaps didn't progress as well on their ESG targets as we would have expected them to. You know, in terms of labour issues, for example, we saw that Cleanaway, they have quite a lot of vacancies at the moment, and they cited labour issues in terms of being able to attract and maintain staff. And also in terms of wage cost inflation, which is having an impact on them.
Yeah, I believe Cleanaway, they actually got the C-suite, the board out in the trucks driving around to go and do some of those collections, because that's how short a staff there were at the moment. It was so fascinating in itself to go and see what was happening in that trend. What I want to go and focus on now is just looking forward, responsible investing in the current environment, because whilst we're doing okay right now, there's a lot of people getting very doom and gloom about the outlook for the global economy and the Australian economy. Is this an environment where it's still likely to thrive in the responsible investing space?
Yeah, I absolutely think it is. Look, I think responsible investing is now just the new way of investing, and investors and companies are now realising the materiality of environmental, social and governance factors and how much they can impact the investment decision-making process. So it's not something that's going to go away. I think it's the new norm, and I think the space has actually progressed from simply incorporating ESG factors, and it's now progressed to having not just a focus on eliminating risk, but also looking at opportunities. And I think this is, you know, it's driving decisions going forward, and it's something that is only going to continue to grow. And that's because we're seeing, you know, the large push for responsible investing has come from investors. And we're now starting to see, with a new governor in place, that regulation is starting to follow that. And it's not something that's going away. And we're in Australia, we're increasingly gaining pace with what's happening overseas, and particularly in Europe.
Just to finish off quickly, greenwashing trends. We saw the ACCC was out with some information about, you know, some of the claims they'd seen on corporate news sites around the country last week, and looking to go and take action. How close do you think we are to getting to the point where we can go and get definitive guidelines as to what exactly is going on amongst each individual corporation?
Yeah, look, the focus on greenwashing is definitely going to be a huge area of focus for 2023, and it's both for companies and also funds. So ASIC and ACCC have reiterated that that's going to be a key area. So I think particularly within funds, investors really need to be focused on understanding the ESG credentials that they're investing in, the the parameters, and they need to see that the fund clearly articulates and defines what their process is, and they're able to demonstrate that. And there are certification programs like the Responsible Investment Association Australasia out there that are able to provide third-party certification of these funds to ensure and investors can be satisfied that these type of funds meet a high level of responsible investing.